We'll start with Elokai Avrom. Before we start with the words of Elokai Avrom, of Esaini Hagdoshim, a little introduction. It says from the Pele Yoyetz, when you say Elokai Avrom, Elokai Yitzchak, Elokai Yaakov, person must think what kind of nachis and special gedilla they were masik, Avesani Agdoshim were masik, the big schis, the big schis that they have, that Yidden all around the world daven 3 times a day and mention the name Elokai Avrom. Kishaim Hashem Nikru Alayhem. The Shem Hashem is on them. Elokai Avrom. They were zoichet to this special zechis only because of their masim, their good deeds, their dvaikis b'Hashem always, and their yearning to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They were zoichet to this. And it says in Pirkei de Eliezer, Chazal, Chai budam loime musi yegia masai lemasai avoisai. When will my maisim reach to the masim of avoisai? So we have to, at least when we say the words Elokai Avrom, Elokai Yitzchak, Elokai Yaakov, to have in mind what they did. One more thing, as an Agdume to Elokai Avrom, it said over from Remnus and Wachtfeugel. He once spoke about this Indian, about Shemoneh Esrei, and he said, they were tzaddikim in Gedoyle Olam, they were amailis, they did amailis, they toiled in the first bruch of Shemoneh Esrei, with full yegiyah, to be mechaven proper in the first bruch of Shemoneh Esrei, especially in these words of Elokai Avrom, Elokai Yitzchak, Elokai Yaakov. Their avodah was to be mitzayah, to picture in your mind the masim of our forefathers, what they did, to a point where they had such an authority that they were able to say, Yesh koino ilumai b'shuachas. When you say Elokai Avrom, you have to be misboinen in Avrom Avini, what he went through, the Sur Nisionis. To visualize if Avrom Avini would be sitting here now, and he would tell us his life story, his avodah, his izdapkis to Hashem, his revealing to the world at the age of 4, that he figured out on his own, it has to be that there is HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world. Elokai Yitzchak, Elokai Yaakov, what they went through in their lives, this is what we have to visualize when we say these words. So let's start with Elokai Avrom. What I want to do is go on the path of the Yadas Dvash, of the Bernis and Eibshitz. The first piece in the Shemoneh Esrei begins with a Kaila Gudal Agiboy Mahanoidu. He says like this. When you learn the piece, it's a small piece, but there's a lot. From that piece, Kim Toes, there are 3 Yesoidis, 3 foundations of the life of Avrom Avini. So let's go through these 3 things. When you go through these 3 things, then you know that you had the proper translation of these words, Elokai Avrom. Number 1, the avodah of Avrom Avini, the way he revealed Malchus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As we mentioned in Toises and Bruchas Daf Mem Tes, we don't say Melech Olam in the first Bruch of Shemoneh Esrei. And the Gemara says, without the Birchnis Mammon, without Shem and Malchus, it's not a Brucha. By talking about Avram Avini, that's Malchus, because he was the one who revealed that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is Melech Malch Amruch MaKadosh Baruch Hu. That will be the first thing of the three things. The Mashu says in Masechtes Psuchim, the Mashu Naf Kifid Zayin, he talks about Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. We'll mention now that piece about Avram. Avram, it says in the Pusik, Hoyeh Elokei Gudoil. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Elokim in particular, shows the koyches that Hashem is a Baal HaYecholos. And the HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that Avram Avini will be a Goy Gudoil, a big nation. What happened? Avram and Surah, even though they were Akulu, but the koyach of Hashem, he was able to make Avram Avini to this Goy Gudoil, and what's Niskayim ba Avram Avini, says the Mashum. Avram Avini says the Yaras Dvash in this piece. Haitev Akol, he was the one who did chesed, did good to everyone. He was mefarsim the midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'tavusa ba'olam. He announced Yechidoi Shel HaMukayim, the only one who rules the world. He set the tone of the truth of Das Emes in the mouths of all the people in the world. So the Rabbi Yonasan Eibschutz concludes, this is what you have to put. That's only one of the things. We'll mention a few things later. This is one of the things that we have to set the tone when we say Elokai Avram. This is number one. What we have to have in mind, that Avram Avini was the one who revealed to the world that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the ruler of the world. And he was the one to set the Das Emes, Mifi Kol HaBriyos, the real Eminah. And it says in Yismach Yisrael, Avram Avini was the Rishon Lemaminim, the first one. The first time where the Torah mentions Eminah is by Avram Avini. V'hemin ba'Hashem. Yachshev Eloi Litzdoku. V'hemin ba'Hashem. On Avram Avini. And it says, he was makna the whole world leHaKadosh Baruch Hu. He taught them the derech Eminah to believe in Hashem. Ba'achdiso is Baruch Shemoi.
Noah also had a window. It doesn't say the Hammond by Noah.
It says over there,
He said there's going to be a flood, he's busy building all day.
it says Mektana Yemin. But in the Pusik it doesn't say only by Avram is the first time it says a minute. The schis of Avram Avini remains with us today. Even throughout history, if there were difficult times amongst Klal Yisrael, but the schis of Avram Avini shined to this day. His Eminah gave such a koyach that it has a koyach to each and every year to this day that we have a Minas Hashem. This is the first thing that we see, the uptaich of Avram Avini. Number two, the chesed.
And before nobody has Marisha knew there was a relationship. And like no one realized it's not a shakal.
They knew, but the world, they kept it to themselves. And the people around them, but the world didn't know. He was the one who came out in public to reveal that.
Wasn't it that they knew that it was, but they thought they were connecting to Hashem by, let's say, serving the sun, by serving the moon. And
The Rambam says
they
that.
got confused, and
The Rambam says the Enois, they had a mistake, a toys. They thought you have to serve the sun because the sun serves Hashem. So the Rambam goes through a Paidik to discuss the level of a minute that they had. Avram Avinu had the proper minute to the fullest extent. The second thing is, Avram Avinu is known as Midas HaChesed, Midas Chesudim. It says by Avram Avinu, Vayita Aishel B'vai Sheva, and the Chazal say Aishel is Rushatayvis, Achila, Shtia, and Lina. These three things: food, drinks, and living quarters. Elakai Avram. Avram Avinu held on to this title. One of the reasons is because of the Midas HaChesed. Because Midas HaChesed is one of the Midas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Avram Avinu took on to that midah very strong. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is on as kol oilam kiloi bechesed, as we say by the benching. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him that title. Since he was such a Bala Chesed, he gave him that title of Chesed LeAvruam. So that's why we call him Elakai Avruam. This is a shtickle of the Reishus Chachma. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Kol Zman Avram Avinu was alive, he took over my work. I didn't have to work much. Not only that, it says in Divrei Cheskel, the Shin Veruf, that even in Sodom, bad people, Avram Avinu tried very hard to save them. Anshay Sdom, he wanted to be matzal the Anshay Sdom. His avodah was to save them, but it didn't work. Hashem knew better. He said no. Now, but the godless of Avram Avinu was, even though after when he realized that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not want to save the Anshay Sdom, Rum v'Chatum Mo'id. It says in the Pusik, Avruam Shav L'Mekoymai. What does that mean, Shav L'Mekoymai? He didn't have kashas, he didn't have tinus. This is what Hashem wanted, this is it. He went back to his place as before, to the fullest extent of a minute without asking questions, says the Divrei Cheskel. To the Madrega that he had before, to do the avodas Hashem b'simcha. Torah HaKadosh is nitzchis, is forever. And he concludes the same thing we have to do as well. Not always we understand the derech of Hashem, but l'maisa, if this is what Hashem did, this is what He wanted, it remains that way and it doesn't move a mashi away from Midas Hashem. And it says in the Yaratvash, in the same piece, Rui litvois medusoi shel Avram Avinu shahaita vakol. To hold on, to grab on, to the midah of Avram Avinu that did good for everyone. V'chayin rui l'chol udam, leleches ba'akvoisav, to go in his derech, in his footsteps. When it comes to chesed, to have rachmunis on everyone. Again, it's one of the things he said, these are, you have to put in your heart to think. When you say Lekai Avram, this is the second one. He says it once, but he mentions these things. That Avram Avinu is epitome of Midas Hashem, Chesed, and now finally the third thing is Ahavas Hashem. And let's go through one piece, one shtickle Rambam, when it comes to show the level of Ahavas Hashem that Avram Avinu had. The Rambam says, this is the last Peirik in Hilchas Shiva, Peirik Yid. Person shouldn't say, Hanayni oisa mitzvahs ha-toire, v'oisik b'chachmusa. Why? In order to be makabel bruches, that's mentioned in the Torah, in order to be zoiche to chai oilam abu, in order to be poirish from a virus, the Torah warned us in order to be saved. No, all different. I will be poirish from a virus. The Torah warned us not to do in order to be saved from the klulois, the curses of it that's written in the Torah. Or I shouldn't be cut off from chai oilam abu. Wrong, Bahalach. That's not the right derech of avodas Hashem because of these things. No, sho'ivid al derech zeh. How then should he be oived Hashem? Not for these reasons. Oived meyire. He should be oived Hashem from fear. Again, this is, let's go back. This is still part of the list that the Rambam says that shouldn't be the reason of avodas Hashem, because of yirah, because of fear. Who does this type of avodas Hashem, says the Rambam? Amayuretz, Mushem Viktanim, Shemechanechan Oisai, Lavid Meyirah. What then? Who oivid me'ahave, person who is oivid Hashem me'ahave from love, oisik betoire, is oisik in toire mitzvahs. Loi bebnai duve ba'olam, loi bebnai yiris haru, v'loi kedai lirish hatoivu, not because of fear, not because he wants to inherit good, ele oise he'emes, this is the truth. The good will follow. The end will be toiv. This male is a male gedoyle ad mo'id. V'ain kol chuchem zoichala. Not everyone is zoicha. So again, for no other reason than you mentioned before, should a person do the avodas Hashem, not for yirah, not because he wants to be zoicha for schar. What then? Ahavas Hashem. This is the greatest mala of avodas Hashem. Not everyone is zoicha to this. V'yimalis Avram Avini shekoro Yakadosh Baruch Hu oyahavai. This was the mala of Avram Avini. So Avram Avini deserved the title oyahavai. My friend, because Baruch Hu says it to Avram Avini. V'yishloi uvid eile me'ahav. That was the avodah of Avram Avini. This mala, HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded us through Moshe Rabbeinu. It says in Pusik, "V'yahavtu v'ayis Hashem lekechu b'chol avavchu v'chol nafschu v'chol meyodechu." In Azman sheyev Hashem ahavu riu. In Azman, when a person will have the proper ahavas Hashem, miyad yase kol ha-mitzvahs miyahava. He will do all the mitzvahs me'ahav. And the Rambam continues talking in this mahalach about ahavas Hashem. So the Yardash says weiter in this third mile, the third yesod, we have to hold on to the midah of Avram Avini to be makabel whatever happens, bi'ahav. Even if it means navanad b'uretz. I don't have where to live. He's going from here to there. Navanad. Avram Avini was navanad. Surah Yisrabbis happened to Avram Avini. Im kol zeh, with all this. Tumim im Hashem be'emes v'layif tumim. It's always tumim im Hashem. V'zeh ma sheyesh lo ilusim me'levov leivov bebruch elishaina. This is the third thing that the Meiri Snipeshit says. This is what you should put. Keep this on your heart when you say the brucha and a kaya avrom. All this and a kaya avrom. And it says in this Fasemis, whoever is a oived Hashem me'ahave, like Avraham Avini, nimshach libo yemayav blasus yitzon koino. Exactly what the Rambam says. The next step is he'll do all the mitzvahs be'ahave. Ad, all his limbs, nimshuchen, will be pulled into this naturally to do the roots in Hashem. It says from the Or Yitzchak, from Radvil, I daven every day and I say, Anachni b'nai Avruam mo'yhavchu. We are the children of Avraham Avini that love Hashem. Therefore, help me and all the Eden. You should be mashpia nos in his chis, ahave, emine, yechida is baruch shemayim. He said these words. Avraham Avini says it Freya Shloime. He was the first one to seed in our hearts the avodas Hashem. Kaim Avraham Avini kol haTorah killer. Everything he did was for the future generations. To plant, to seed, to be matzmiach in the hearts of Yidden, the root sign, the will to do these mitzvahs, the mitzvahs HaTorah. A person goes and walks in the street, is oisig b'nun oilam hazeh. In his heart, he should think about Yiras Hashem. To reach to Ahavas Hashem, first goes Yiras Hashem, and that comes to Ahavas Hashem. But the void is Ahavas Hashem. That's the goal.
Is there anyone in this world today that can say Ahavas Hashem without Yiras Hashem? I mean, there's always a tinge of Yiras Hashem going on.
I guess that it seems from the Rambam doesn't tell us first do Yiras Hashem, but it says in his foundation, first do Yiras Hashem, and from there we'll reach to Ahavas Hashem. But there is such a thing right away, Ahavas Hashem. To do the mitzvahs of the Ahavas Hashem, that's what we say twice a day. We have to ice Hashem in the kettle. That's a person first is Ahavas Hashem. But if he starts so it seems the first thing is Yiras Hashem in order to reach the Ahavas Hashem. Yeah. You can't jump all of a sudden to Ahavas Hashem without Yiras Hashem. There's allusion, here's the Yaras Dvash. In this small piece, there's a lot. Listen to these words. How can a person say the Baruch of Mugan Avram? We'll still come to it when we say the Baruch of Mugan Avram. And he doesn't put on his heart all these things that we mentioned before. How many say have a chutzpah even to mention the word Mugan Avram without knowing these three things of Eminis Hashem that Avram Avini created through Geminis Chasudim and Ahavas Hashem. Now that he knows these three things, he could say, Murich Atu Hashem, Mugain Avram. But how could you say Lekai Avram without knowing these three things? I came across a shtickle the kayach. Since we're going to learn Oz Yushia this Shabbos, and not only that, the Shira, the Kayach says, very interesting. He says like this: there are 18 psikim in the Shiras Hayom in Oz Yushia. Starting from B'hoitziachu es ha'om mitzrayim tavden es elekim alo harazeh. There are 18 psikim. There are 18 psikim in the Seres HaDibris. And there are 18 bruchas in Shemoneh Esrei. So since it has a shaykhs with Shemoneh Esrei, and this week is Shabbos Shira, lining Oz Yushia, let's go through a few things about the Shiras Hayom. It says 18 times Yiras Hashem Esayf Mishli, Yivdis Hashem B'iyiru. That's what the Rekayach says on the Shiras Hayom in the Seifer. It says in the Yishalmi, Ma Talmid Loime Vayoim B'Yilayim Moir. Oz Yisha Moshe Vayoim B'Yilayim Moir. Laim Ledoidus. This is the Makor that we should say the Shira every day. Shira Sayom. We discussed in the last Shir, we had a kasha. Oz Yushia, the Shira is Psikim in the Torah. The Shoyda, that should have been in the beginning of Psikim the Simna. So according to the Rambam, we mentioned, the Rambam in the Siddur, Rambam Yod Chazuka has a Siddur. By him, the Oz Yushia is not mentioned in the Psikim the Simna, it's mentioned after Yishtabach. But the B's Yosef, Simini and Allah brings the Orches Chaim. He says, the minig that we conclude the Psika de Zimne with Shiras Hayom, everything has a cheshbon, every piece. The Shiras Hayom has 72 letters of Kedisha. 18 times it says the name of Hashem, Yitkai Vuvkai. Besides the Migdash Hashem. Migdash Hashem is Aleph Dalet Nin Yid. The other 18 are Yitkai Vuvkai. And 18 times 4, the 4 letters of Yitkai Vuvkai, is Hashem Ayin Bais. The Shem Hashem of 72 letters. He says, but you won't find it, says the B's Yosef, in the Shira itself, because we start a few psikim later, and the 18 times Hashem begins from the pusik, few psikim before Yibish Moides Habayke. And our minig is not to start from there. We start from the Yosha Hashem. So it's missing 4 Shemos. Therefore, says the B's Yosef, the minig is, in order to complete the 4 Shemos that are missing, in order to make it 72. Therefore, we are mashlim the Shemos by saying, V'hoyu Hashem lemelech al kol uretz. At the end, we add twice Hashem nimlech lo yinam vued. So we add another few psikim to fulfill the 4 Shemos that are missing. Really, if you would have started from the Yibash Moides Haberke, we would have had the Shemos. And there is in the Shira 18 Shemos starting from there. So therefore we add in the end another 4 Shemos. Shem Echad, Shema Echad, these 4 Shemos, so it concludes, you complete rather to the Shem Ayin Bais. So now we have the full cheshbon of Ayin Bais. That's why we conclude to that pusik.
Why do you do have that yesterday, Shema Yisrael, Shem Hashem,
I don't know why. It has a makam. We have to look that up to see why they add that pusik. Yeah. Isn't it Ashkenaz? Not Ashkenaz?
I know that.
We have to look that up.
Now you have 6 Shemos instead of 4 Shemos.
Yeah. It says in Sefer Charaidim, it comes to Shiras Hayom, person should have a mind every day to say it b'kol, loud, b'simcha rabbe, as if oisu shu yotzu mitzrayim. To visualize as if now we left Mitzrayim. Can you imagine the simcha they had when they left Mitzrayim? That's the simcha we should have when we say Oz Yushir. He concludes, unless happens to a person, he says Shira and Moichel Kolam Reisaf, all the Avaidis. I'm not going into Arichas, there are many Zoyas to this. We'll get to Oz Yushir, we'll be Malach, just want to bring out these few points. It says from the Pele Yoetz, also talks about this. The Oz Yushir should be said B'simcha, brings a Zoya. Amiris Shiris Hayom, after Psike de Zimre, Nachas Riach Le'Shchina. Therefore we must say it B'simcha Rabbe B'ni'imu, Tazizkeit. It should be Metzaya B'datoi, Ke'ili he's standing B'yabusha B'toich Hayom. Literally he's in the Yam, and there's two walls on the side, and he's walking through. He's standing by Yabushu. It's a zgila to be mechaper avainoisav ki yadir. If you do this, it's a zgila to be mechaper the avainas a person did. There's another Zoya, the Mission Bria quotes. If you think that, the Mission Bria quotes in Siman Yil Aleph, the Shiri Siyom should be said b'simcha atzime, strong simcha. Yidame b'dato, he should visualize in his mind ki ili oisei hayoim uva bayam. That day he passed the Yam. That day, the next day, every time he says Oz Yushir, he'll have that in mind. He brings it from the Zoya. Now, what I mentioned before, from the B'Siyoyse B'Shem Baruch Chaim, the same thing it says in the Rekayach, in the Machzavitri. Machzavitri, the Talmud of Rasha. In his Siddur, it's also mentioned, in the Siddur of the Machzavitri, it's also mentioned, until Hashem Yimloich Lo'ilam Vued is 18 Shaimois. Now, since we start from Vayosha, few psikim after, so we have to add 4 more Shaimis. So we double up Hashem Yimloich twice, and then we say the next few psikim, that makes it, fulfills the 4 Shaimis that we missed before Vayosha. It says in the Kaf HaChaim, he has a list of 10 sigillis that are mechapa of anois of shaludam. One of the 10 sigillis are, that's in Simi Yid Bais, in Kaf HaChaim, Chaim Pelagi. This is amazing. One of the 10 sigillis shemachapen avenois of shaludam, beli sige ve'ini, without torture. What is it? A person who learns Vayoisha b'simcha ibenigen. Kamoi, just like the Eden said, B'kriyas Yamsef. Therefore, it seems that the Eden sang those Yusha. When there's a nisach that Klal Yisrael has, by Oz Yusha, that was the nisach from those years. Therefore, tzurich lo'imroi benigen hatamim k'mayakoyne b'toyre. He says that you should sing the song k'mayakoyne, the trop from the Torah. Rumis b'toyre the doilis d'chsiv b'yom l'ayma. That's the Yerushalmi. And that's not only then, during Kriyas Yamsef, all the generations sang Oz Yushir, and that's the Chiyuv every morning around Psika de Zimra to say the Oz Yushir b'simcha b'nim b'nigen. I will conclude with an amazing Maisa that I heard years ago, and it's the first time that I see it written in a Seifer. A gewaldige chizik and tefillah, how a person should daven. The Lech Levitscher, Heilige Lech Levitscher, he said, I heard this mice that he went into a zookeeper. That part doesn't say here. But years ago, I heard it this way. And he asked him, do you have this type of bird? Forgot the name of the bird. He doesn't bring it. That the bird sings every day to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Doesn't say every day. There's a bird that sings to HaKadosh Baruch Hu stronger and stronger until his stomach cracks open. Can you tell me, do you have that bird? He says, we have that bird. It doesn't happen every day. When it's going to happen, I'm going to call you. And the day came when the zookeeper called him, it's happening, come right now. And the bird started singing, those who understand Sichas Oifes, and singing higher and higher and higher to the highest level, collapsed, cracked. That was it. So the Lechlevicher said, what is my tefillah worth? I would like to daven like the bird davens. That power of tefillah. And I daven every day, and I'm healthy. I go on my life every day. Once he prepared himself b'hachune gedoyle, with great preparation. I'm going to daven now. This is going to be a tefillah, like that bird. Came to Shilas Hayom to Oz Yushir. Mirov Hisla harvest of davening. Imagine Oz Yushir. You went higher and higher to a point where his lungs collapsed. It says Nifka, cracked. He wasn't. The doctors from Lemberg said that he has no refuah. There's nothing he could do for him. He gave up. The Lechlevicher tiny to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You want me to daven only one tefillah this way? That nisach that I heard then, what do you think? Like a bird? That's it? The bird davens once and that's it? I'm not worth more than the bird? That I can't daven again? I want to daven again. Not only once. Hashem helped him and he became healthy. Doesn't end there. After that, the Lechlevicher was in Lemberg, and there was a huge gathering, Chassidim coming to the Lechlevicher. That doctor passed in the shul where the Lechlevicher was, and he asked, what's this crowd going in and out? What's happening here? The doctor asked. So they told the doctor, the tzaddik, the Lechlevicher is here. And he said, what? He's still alive? The doctor swore that he's alive without lungs. Impossible that he should have lungs. His lungs were gone. Ta'asugya in Tefillah, in Shilas Hayom. This Shabbos is Parshas B'Shalach. We're going to say Oz Yusha. By Tefillah, in Shilas Hayom, by the Kriyas HaTorah. So I figured, since I saw the Charadim say that there are 18 Psikim Naz Yushir, one of the things is because 18 Bruchas in the Shemoneh Esrei, so I figured, let's have some information. I looked up some information about the Shilas Hayom. So after this Lechlevicher, that means we have to say the Shira tomorrow morning for sure. It's the first time we hear this. Tomorrow morning at least until after Shabbos, so when we hear the Shira, by Kriyas HaTorah, it should be Shira b'ne'imah, b'nigan, b'simcha. Mishmiri brings the Zohar in Simini and Aleph. Machapim le'kol avanoisav. And the Kaf HaChaim says, b'li sigiv, without any torch. I myself mizol zoichazan, that with this tefillah of Shilas Hayom this week, and to say the Kai Avruam with the Kavuna that with the three Yesoides that we discussed today, then we know that these two words, Elokai Avram, will be said properly.
Right, right.